Hey, I'm Brad from Fix This Build That. Today, we're talking planers and how to eliminate snipe while you're planing your boards. I'm going to show you 6 different ways that I tested and tell you which one I think works the best. All right, stay tuned and we'll check it out.
So what is snipe? Snipe is when a planer cuts deeper on the beginning and or end of a board. There are 2 pressure feed rollers in a lunchbox planer. One on the infeed, one on the outfeed, and the cutter head in between them. They feed the board through the planer and keep it flat against the bed while it's being cut. When both rollers are contacting the board, you don't have any issues. But when only one roller is holding down the board, like at the beginning or end of a cut, the free end can lift up into the cutting head and it removes extra stock, thus giving you snipe. So that's what's happening, and that's what we're trying to eliminate.
This is about a 40-inch board. This is the front that I ran through the planer just a moment ago, just to try to induce some snipe. So the front end of this board is going to be significantly lower than the rest of the board. And I'm going to use this carpenter pencil to show you that. Okay, as I rub it up here, the high spots are going to get covered in lead and the low spots are not. So you can see that right about here, it dipped down, and all the front of this mostly is much lower than this right here. And so that's what we're trying to eliminate. All right, now let's get into the ways to reduce snipe. The first method is the easiest method. It is also the most wasteful method. This board has about 2 inches of snipe on either end. So what you can do is, as you're cutting your boards, you're planing them to size, you can leave extra stock and just cut it at the end. If you're gonna have a 40-inch board, you wanna add 2 inches on each side, so I would plane at least a 44-inch board and then cut off to size from each end. Now again, that's the most wasteful, but hey, if you've got the money to burn, then you might as well do it, right? The second way to reduce snipe is the way you set up your planer. Most planers have these beds that can go up and down. Some of them are static, some of them don't have them, some are an option. But if you have a infeed bed, infeed table, it likely moves up and down, makes that horrible noise while it does it. And there are adjustments down below where you can adjust the bed to level it up and down. What you want to do is have the front and the back slightly higher than the planing surface. Basically, that's lifting the board. That's going to be a common theme here, is that you want to lift that board up so the front end is not raising into the cutter head. That is a great way. Number 2 way to reduce planer snipe. The next 4 ways to reduce snipe are going to be how you actually feed the boards into the planer. Before I get started, you always want to wear hearing protection. These planers are extremely loud, so make sure that you're wearing hearing protection as well as safety glasses. Make sure if any chips are flying out that you're protecting your eyes and your ears. The third method for reducing snipe is having a board go in ahead of it and behind the workpiece. I'll show you exactly what I mean here, is having a scrap board. All right, so if I'm going to be planing this long board, I will send a short board in before it and a short board in after it. Basically, these are sacrificial. These should accept the snipe and reduce the snipe on the board. So let's see how that works. Here's the board that just came out. This is the 40-inch board. This is the front of it. So let's see how the sacrificial boards did at pulling that snipe off. That did really well. You can see here there's hardly no snipe at the end. You have the consistent markings. And I am going to say that this is a good method to reduce the snipe. Method 4 for reducing snipe is using sacrificial sideboards that are longer than your glue up. So what I've done is I've glued up a few pieces here in the middle. So this would be my piece in the middle. The sacrificial boards would be here on the outside, and I just put some blue marker on there to show the contrast in between those. So as it goes through, the theory is the snipe will happen up here and down here, leaving your board clean. Let's see how it works. Let's see how the snipe did. So this is kind of surprising to me a little bit. Actually, I did not have any snipe at the beginning of these boards, but if you see here, there's actually a dip. Let's check the back. The sacrificial piece does have a little bit of snipe here in the back, but the back end is very clean, so there is not that divot. So this one is really interesting. That's definitely not snipe free. It is reduced, but not snipe free. The fifth way to reduce snipe on your boards while you're planing is to run the board in at an angle. So instead of running it straight in parallel and it hitting the rollers, I'll tilt it 15, 30 degrees here, whatever. It depends upon how long the board is. But if you tilt the board, then the roller will hit the front edge and not have such an impact further down the board. So we're gonna tilt the board coming in and see what that does. We'll use the long boards on this one. Right, this is the board we just ran through at an angle. I'm gonna see what happened. This is the front of the board. That looks really clean to me. There is very, very minimal. Right here up at the corner, you see you have a little bit, but that is very minimal. Let's check the back end. This was the trailing edge coming out. And again, very minimal. I mean, that almost has nothing in any way of snipe. I think running through at an angle is definitely a good option. The sixth method for reducing snipe as you're planing is to lift the board as it's coming in, lift the back end, and lift the front end as it's coming out. The whole idea here is that you're trying to keep the edges away from that cutter head. So as you're feeding the board into the planer, you hold up on the back end just a little bit, maybe a 1/16 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch to take the pressure off and make sure that that front edge is not hitting the cutter head. As the board comes out, the same thing. You lift up the back end to keep the pressure off of the edge as it comes out to make sure the cutter head doesn't hit it. This is something that I've used a lot, and we'll try it now and see how it works. This is the board that just came through with lifting on the edges. Let's see how that worked. This is the front edge. There's a little indentation there. There's not snipe on this back end, but again, as that roller hit, it looks like maybe it has bounced up. You can barely feel that. That would sand out really easily. Let's check the back. And maybe just a little bit of snipe there on the back too. I'm a little surprised at this actually. I'm going to say that this one reduces, but it definitely does not eliminate the snipe because there's a little bit here still. All right, now you know 6 ways to reduce snipe while you're planing. Thank you to all my supporters over there on Patreon. You guys are awesome. If you'd like to support me, you can go down the link below to my Patreon site. I'd also love for you to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel to grow. And a big thank you to Rigid Power Tools for sponsoring this video. I have loved this Rigid planer. I've been using it for over 8 years now, and it has never let me down. So it's a great tool. If you think I missed something, if you don't like my experimentation methods, if you think I missed a way to do it that's way better, tell me below. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what I messed up, or tell me your favorite method. I would love to hear it. All right, guys. Until next time, get out there and build something awesome.